Welcome to part 2 in our educational series to show you how to easily extract Oracle Cloud ERP data using Oracle Data Transforms. In this video, it's a continuation of part 1. We will create 2 more data flows for invoice lines and distributions. Then we'll create a workflow to string them together as well as a schedule to run them on a nightly basis. Here are the quick details of what we'll be doing in this exercise. Now let's get started with step 2 of building a complete analytic warehouse for your Oracle Cloud ERP data.
Thanks for joining the second video around building Oracle Data Transforms for Accounts Payable data model. In the first video, we went through a lot of the prerequisites. We built one Data Transforms for Accounts Payable header table, and in this one, what we want to do is build the transforms for the Accounts Payable lines and the Accounts Payable distributions tables, and then we'll string them together in a workflow and get them on a schedule so they run every night. So kind of complete the picture of what it looks like to start building out full data extracts from Oracle Fusion Financials. So let's take a look at our project currently and get back on track. If we look at the data flows, there should only be one, which is invoice header. Next, we're just really quickly, let's build the invoice lines and invoice distributions data flows. So I'm just gonna get started by clicking on create data flow. And if you recall, I've got a cheater spreadsheet that has all the names of all the objects that I'm gonna build and leverage to make it easier on me. So let's go ahead and put our invoice line table in there. And then I'm gonna copy my PVO name up here, because as you do more work, your list down this left-hand side gets extremely long and crazy. So type your PVO that you're going to leverage at the top and then just drag it on your canvas. Once it's on the canvas, the first thing we do is click on the plus table option and we copy our table name. I'm cruising right along in my spreadsheet over here. So paste the table name in, and once you've already done some work in here and created your first data flow against your autonomous data warehouse, everything else generally defaults to that same data warehouse setup. So I literally can just paste the table name and then save. I don't have to touch anything else. It gets easier and easier the more of these you do. And I'm going to move that over, give me some room, and then you have to remember to hit the save button. Once you do that, you get the transfer little box in the middle, which is where most of the setups for an incremental load will be. So we always start there. I like to work left to right, so click on the transfer box. You get the options over on the right hand side. I'll expand it so it's easier to see, and then we're going to cruise down through these really fast. Submit BICC job must be true. Use Oracle staging table must be true. Clean up copy data logs. We want that to be true. Doesn't have to be, but we like it to be true. Compression should be set to gzip as that's supported by ADW. Then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom so I can see the rest. Notice the little orange arrow. I know where I left off, which is nice and helpful. Next thing we want, save last load timestamp. Set that to true. So it saves our incremental timestamp for us. And the last thing to check is the clean up temporary objects. Just make sure that is set to true. And that is it for transfer. Now let's click on the table. And before I do those, I always like to hit save in between. So I will do that. Once it's done, I will expand the table options to the right. General tab again is just the name. Attributes is where we define the primary key. We are on invoice lines. So the primary key for invoice lines is actually 2 fields. It's the invoice ID or the invoice header ID, and it's the line number. So we need to ensure we check both of those to get the primary key. So there is the invoice ID, and next we need to find the line number. Right here, here's the line number. So I've checked both of those, primary keys on. And then the last thing we need to do is go to the options table and click on Incremental Update, drop and create target table, double check, make sure it's false. Delete temporary objects, make sure it's true. Create target table, make sure it is true, and truncate target table, make sure it's false. So generally you don't have to touch anything else for an incremental load, just the mode, but it never hurts to double check. So we are done with both transfer and the table settings. So let's go ahead and hit save and let's just let it run. I'm going to start it, and while it is running, we are going to go do the next one, which is AP distributions table. I'll click OK. Now that it kicked off the job, we can let that run in the background while we're doing the rest of our work. So I'm going to hit the breadcrumbs at the top to go back to my project. I'm going to hit create data flow. Copy my data flow name of AP distributions from my spreadsheet. Copy the PBO name of AP distributions. Drag it into the canvas. Click on the plus table icon. Copy my table name again from my spreadsheet. And then we've already done work on this ADW database. It's tied to everything, so I can literally just hit save. I like to drag this over, give myself some room, save your data flow to get the transfer icon in the middle. And let's go ahead and click on transfer and get our options over here. You know, for this one, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to leave it collapsed, and because you can still see enough to do these, you don't always have to explain it. So submit BICC job, make sure that is true. Use Oracle staging table, set that to true. Down to clean up copy data logs, set that to true. The compression should be set at gzip. Last load extract right at the bottom should be set to true. And I'm going to scroll it down to the bottom here. The last thing we look at is clean up temporary objects should be set to true. Well, I think I missed one up here. I'm going to just double check that has to be set to true. So that's it for the transfer tab. Go ahead and click on save. And now that that's done, we will click on the table to the right. I'll not expand that again just for fun. We can go across these. A little harder to see in this world, so I am going to expand it. Never mind. Nice try though, John. So here is the keys, AP distributions. We know the key, primary key for this one is the distribution ID. So let's go down and try to find it. There it is, invoice distribution ID. That's the primary key for this table. If I was not sure, again, you could go out to BI Cloud Connector. And we will do that real quick. Click on your invoice distribution extract. And there's your primary key, invoice distribution ID. I've been in here before, so it was sorted descending, which is the trick to getting yours. So let's click done. So we double checked, we're feeling good about it. We can shrink that up and go ahead and save that, and we're done. So in like 3-4 minutes, we just built 2 data flows and kicked them both off individually for their first test. This one, AP distributions, is a little bit longer. It's probably going to take about 4 minutes to run because it's a couple million records. The lines table had 1 million records by itself. It's probably done. We will go check out that really quick, and then we will let the distributions run while we do some other work. So let's hit the breadcrumbs at the top, and let's just take a look at the jobs. So when we look at our jobs, we can see the invoice line job has completed, and it loaded 1.1 million records. and you can see all the steps that it took. It looks very similar to the invoice header. So we will skip out of here. And the next thing I want to do while distributions is running, and let's create a workflow. All the workflow does is that takes your 3 data flows and you can create a workflow to string them together. So when you run them at night, it will run them sequentially. So let's go to our handy dandy spreadsheet. I got a workflow name over there that I want, WF underscore, whatever you want to call it. So I'll create the workflow, and then you just go into it. And once you click on the workflow, this is the canvas that you will get. You'll notice it's blank canvas, and what we have on the left are the 3 data flows within our project that we can choose from to build a workflow. So what I want to do is I want to bring all 3 of these into the workflow. The goal will be to string them together, headers, then lines, then distributions, and run them sequentially instead of one job at a time like we did for testing. And for Fusion ERP extracts, I like to do the OK, not OK option. So click on that box. When you click on these and draw the arrows to each of them, you'll notice how it puts a OK, not OK. That just means, hey, run this one, then run that one no matter what, then run the third one no matter what. Because what we're going to do here is if one of these fails, we'll fix it later, but I don't want it to stop the entire string of them, in this case, from running overnight. So there is a pretty quick and easy workflow of those 3 items. You can use the little button at the top, auto layout, and it will string them together nice and neat. And I will go ahead and hit save. And what I'm not going to do right now is I'm not going to run this. I could test it right at the top. It will run them sequentially. I'm not going to run it right now because I still have a job running, loading AP distributions from a few minutes ago when we kicked it off. So let's not run that. Last thing that we want to do is let's do a schedule. So yes, I have a workflow that strings them all together, but I'm not going to, wake up every night at 1 in the morning and click it and tell it to run manually. So let's create a schedule. And I don't have a nice schedule name, so I'll just use one that I did before, schedule AP invoices all. And the resource option is a data flow. We are going to use this schedule to kick off a data flow. Actually, we're going to use it to kick off the workflow that we just created. The workflow is a string of data flows. Then you pick the workflow you want to run, which is AP invoices all. And then you tell it the frequency. In this case, I want to run it daily, and I want to run it every night at 1 a.m. And that is about it. So I'll click save at the bottom. And so now we've officially created 3 data transforms, invoice lines, and header. We created a workflow to string them together, and we scheduled them so it runs every night at 1 in the morning. So now imagine we do this 1,000 more times, and we will have all the data you need for a nice, proper data warehouse for doing analytics on Fusion ERP outside of Fusion ERP. And we are going to talk about that topic in the next demonstration. So thanks for joining, and we'll talk soon.